Hi everyone, it's Lisa from Leslie Joe's. I've come on because I've been doing a junk journal with my dear friend Louisa Heinzel, and if any of you are following along, we're doing 3 lives. I will link them below. We have done 2, but you are able to watch the replays, and we've got a 3rd one coming up tomorrow. During the live, Louisa, well, previous to the live, Louisa had made a cover for me to have, and it didn't arrive. So I had to be very clever and make my own cover. Louisa made one out of wool, and I've made mine out of thread. And somebody on the live was kind enough to ask if I could show how I made this, so that's what I'm going to do today. So that's the cover that I made. Obviously we're not going to get exactly the same because that never happens, but we'll have a go at seeing what we can do. So I've done a little what will you need for a thread journal cover, and I've written patience, just a little bit, thread, your colours of choice, which I've got here, hemming tape, iron on, so in England we call it Wonder Web, but it's just hemming tape, and it's what you iron on when you're turning your clothes up or whatever, no sew thing. You'll see what that does in a minute. Glue or a medium that dries hard. I'm gone for the Mod Podge hard coat, but I think any glue would work as long as it dries hard. Wool, which is an optional extra. I've just got a little scrap of wool, and you just unravel it, make the threads. I'll show you that. Some scissors, a paintbrush for your glue, a glue brush, and an iron. I've got the, bear with me, I've got the little cricket iron that I use, but any iron on a warm setting, because you're going to need to mount your hemming tape. And I've got greaseproof paper just because I'm going to lay that down so that this doesn't stick to it. So let's get to it then and see what we can make. So I'll just hold that now in case anybody wants to take a screenshot, just in case you're not crafting along and you want to do it at a later date. So we'll move our things out of the way first, make the table clear and tidy, and I'm just gonna, so you can make these any size you want really, excuse the rattling. You can make these any size you want. You could do them not just as a journal cover, but in the 2nd live I've actually used parts of this as a cluster. I don't know if I can find it now. I think it's here. So this is that material. It's quite hard and scratchy. I've used it on the ephemera, so it's quite a nice thing to do, and you know, could be used in lots of different ways. So to start with, I get the hemming tape, and I'm very pleased that they do it in a thicker. When I made the cover, I only had the very thin hemming tape, and you'll see what I do when I do what I do with it. You'll see what I do when I do what I do with it. Well, there you go. That the thicker the better, to be honest. So what I did, and I'm just going to let you know, this was the first time I ever did anything like this, and it worked. This is the second time. Who knows whether it's going to work or not, but hey, we're going to go for it. So I'm just going to make a small square. So tear your pieces of your, Louisa used an embroidery stabilizer when she made hers, and I didn't have that, so I looked for an alternative, because that's what we do when we're crafting. If we don't have the same items, we look for alternatives so that we can still do what they're doing. So yeah, I'm just going to lay these out in a square. I'm not going to go much bigger than that. Hopefully you can see all of that. So I've laid them down in a square. There's nothing more to it than to get your threads and bits and bobs, and I think you could probably use any, you may even be able to do it with thin scraps of materials. I haven't tried it yet, but so I say wool. This is an old piece of crochet that I was doing. As you can see, I'm not very good at crochet, so I just take the wool and separate it into little small strands, so it's more like a thread, but it's a little bit thicker, and yeah, you just separate it like that. So I've got a few fair bits that I did previously, so we'll just lay those on, and then you just build with your threads. I'm going quite neutrally, with browns. I'm going to put some greens in it, and I have got a pop of colour. I'm not very good at tearing thread. Some people can snap it, I just can't. So yeah, we just literally build and build and build. I mean, this has probably been done before. No doubt it's been done before. I just don't know if it's been done with the window web before. And I haven't looked, but I haven't seen it myself done. So I've picked a couple of pops of colour thread, just because I think they'll show through quite nicely when you do your ironing. As you can see, this is quite therapeutic, and an easy craft, you know. I'm all about, I mean, I love doing any sort of craft. I'm all about doing techniques and things, but I love the days, and I'm sure we all do the same thing, when you've got no motivation, you've got nothing, that you haven't got a project or anything that you're working on, and you think, oh, I just want to craft, and then you do, you know, you pick up something quite simple to do, and it gets you out of your brain, your fiddle, whatever you're thinking, and it you know, to me, I think it can help tremendously. I'm not very good at finding my ends. As you can see, I've gone for the wrong one. Yeah, I just find that sometimes a mindless craft, and it's not mindless because whatever you make, you're going to use. If you're a junk journaler or a card maker or anything, you can, you know, you'll always use what you make. But sometimes it's just, I call them nothing makes because they're not for anything. There might be in the future. Excuse me while I just slurp my lovely English British cup of tea. I don't know about anybody else, but it's still 472 degrees here. Well, that's what it feels like. But I still like a cup of tea. So yeah, so hopefully you've been watching our lives. We're doing our lives because we're making a friendship journal, myself and Louisa Heinzel, because as a follower of hers, and then I was lucky enough to, sorry, that's rattling around, it's doing my head and it must be doing yours in. We were very lucky to our paths crossed, and if you watch the replays or you've watched the video, you'll know what I'm talking about. But our paths crossed and we became really good friends, and I was lucky enough to be able to go to Germany to meet with her, and very lucky to be able to go inside her craft room and have a look around it, which was unreal for me, to be honest, and I'm sure that you'll all understand how that felt at the time. It was, whew, yeah, it was very good. And I'm hoping that one day Louisa will come and see my craft room, and we'll go on an adventure in England, definitely London. London has a thing with us, that we do need to go to London, but yeah, definitely hoping to be able to meet up with her one day here, and that would just be great. But we're doing our lives, making our friendship journals with things that we've collected, things that I collected for us when I went to Paris before I went to Germany, and I picked up some bits and bobs, and Louisa's got us some papers together, and we're going to make this journal. We've done 2 live streams now, and we're just having so much fun. And I think, you know, I'm a hobby crafter, hobby journaler, and I do this for fun. And, you know, everybody who crafts does it for fun. We have fun. But with people who have got big YouTube channels, they it's their job, you know. And although it's always, like I said, crafting's always fun, and when you learn new techniques and things like that, it's fun. But when you're doing it as your job, it's pressure too, you know. I don't seem to be getting on very well with this thread. So yeah, Louisa's doing this alongside me with the aim to have some fun. You know, it's a personal journal. We're not doing it to show anybody techniques or anything fancy. We're just journaling, and it's, you know, it's been a lot of fun. And you know, if any of you have been over watching it, I'm sure you're having fun with us, because we're trying to encourage people to craft along, because everything that we're doing is like I said, it's not technical, it's not, you know, we're just having a great time doing it. This thread is difficult. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but my dog's mooching around me. Go and lie down. For some weird reason, he seems to want to be at the side of my desk. Sorry, it's that, I don't know if you can see everything. Let's try and, there we go. Is that a little bit better? So yeah, as you can see, I'm just building up threads, and I suppose you could just keep going and keep going. I'm gonna get some more greens in there, and then we'll put a little bit more of this in. I've used the wool because it's a thicker texture. I don't know any science behind anything I'm doing here, so please don't ask. It's just, like I said at the beginning, it's just something I did and it seemed to work, and you know, who knows if this is gonna happen this time, but we'll see, hey? That's the part of it, isn't it? Having the fun. I've got lots and lots and lots and lots of threads. My mother-in-law used to be a seamstress back in the day when people went to seamstresses and clothes were handmade, not done in factories and things. And she has the most gorgeous threads and things, and she asked me if I'd like her sewing machine, which I was very, very excited about having. Although I did say to her, I don't really sew clothes, I sew paper, but you know, hey ho. And she gave me lots and lots of threads. But if you don't have a lot of threads, I'd say the best place to go is to like flea markets, second-hand shops, charity shops, craft fairs, you know, anywhere that's, and you might pick up some nice different coloured threads at reasonable cost, especially at flea markets and things, car boot sales, places like that. I think it would be a good way to get your stash up on your threads, especially if you're going to do lots of things like this. I mean, a spool of thread goes a long, long way, doesn't it? We know that. But I think if you use this technique and you like it and you want to make lots of different things with it, like journal covers, clusters, you know, or even just a panel for it to go on top of a journal journal cover would be nice. So yeah, I think that would be a good place to go and see if you can collect some threads. I think this one is much thicker. It just says cotton thread, but as I said, some of her threads are just lovely. Probably a shame I'm using them, but you know, what's the point of having stuff if you don't use it? Okay, I'm going to, a bit of a thick piece of wool there. As you can see, that's like a double bit. So just peel your wools, and there we go. So that's all I'm going to be doing. And then what I did was got my hemming tape again, and got my strips. Now this hemming tape goes, it melts, so it's melts so that you can turn your clothes up, you don't have to sew them. And I just thought, well, I'll give it a go, see what it does. Will it melt? Will it hold my threads together? Like I said in the beginning, I didn't know whether it would work. I did, as most crafters, I'm sure you lay in bed the same as I and think of things while you're trying to go to sleep, projects that you might want to do or whatever. And last night I did think of something else that I might try, and I'm just going to plug my little cricket iron in. Move everything out of the way. There we go. I don't know if anyone's, very handy little things these, and you get a little thing to pop it in. But like I said at the beginning, any iron would work. You just need something hot. While that's heating up, another quick slurp of the tea. So I've had my YouTube channel for probably about 6-7 months, and I do little vlogs on TikTok. I do other vlogs on other social media channels, and I thought I'd do them on my TikTok, but it didn't really take off. And sorry for the rattling, just doing another piece of greaseproof paper because I don't want this stuff to stick to my bottom of my iron. Yeah, so I was saying, and since when I did my live, somebody asked me if I would show this, then I think I'm going to do a few craft with me's, little things on my YouTube channel. And when we were doing the live, I said I want to do like back to basics crafting, because I think sometimes we learn so much as we go along the way that we forget the actual beginnings. So I want to go back to the beginning, start doing very, very simple crafts and building on my knowledge again with the knowledge that I've learned across the way, but maybe with different techniques. And I don't know where that's going to take me, and I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm interested to give it a little go. So my iron's hot, and I'm just going to run it over my threads. You can see they're coming through the paper nicely, because hopefully the stuff, hemming tape, is melting away and doing what I want it to do. Until you've done this bit, you're not going to know if it's going to work. But yeah, so this is the fun part, not knowing whether we're going to have anything that represents what we wanted to make, or if it goes wrong. So if it goes wrong, you know, I'm with you. I'm just a crafter that practices things, and that's the whole thing. So you just have to practice everything, and I maybe should have practiced this a couple of times before I came on live and thought I could show you what it does. But then again, I think, you know, learn with me, and if it goes wrong, we might learn together what went wrong. What did I do differently? I don't think I've done anything differently. Just going over, the iron's quite hot. Oh, this might be a bit boring for you, but I do need to make sure that it gets in every part. And I do have some sticky stuff sticking out here, so I'm just gonna put that off because I don't want to iron it while it's showing, if that makes sense. So yeah, and that's what I want to do. So I want to craft and see if my back to basics takes me the same route as it did previously, whether the techniques I learnt, whether the techniques I liked stay with me or stick with me, or whether I find a new technique as I'm doing things.
Motion detected at front door.
Yeah, so it's all a bit... Sorry, somebody's at my front door. I think it was a postman. Nobody's rang the bell, so we'll go that it was the postman. Yeah, so, you know, will I love different techniques that I didn't love back in the day, you know, when I go back to the beginning, make something and think, oh, I could do this or could do that, and there may be something that I watched or learnt that in the past I wasn't too keen on, but second time around it may show something that I really, really love. So okay, so I think that I've got all that. I'm gonna turn my iron off, but be very careful not to touch it because it's very, very hot. And let's see what we've got. So from here, I'm going to try and peel this off. There's some bits that hasn't, but I'm sure we could go over. I'm just going to put my iron back on just in case I need to re-go over. There's some bits that haven't worked, but okay, plan B. Let's not peel it off, let's turn it over and do the other side, because we know that we put window web, hemming tape, whatever you want to call it, we did put it on the front and the back. So let's see if we needed to mount that on this side as well. I hate ironing. Does anyone else hate ironing? The only ironing I do is crafting ironing. So when I've done some coffee dyed or tea dyed papers, I like to iron them. If I've done a lot of mixed media on something, then I perhaps sometimes like to iron that too. Obviously not texture, but the back sides of things, you know, but give me a pile of clothes to iron and I'll run a mile. Not my thing. So we're just hoping, because we can't see what's happening underneath here, we're just hoping and praying that this works. Okay, so because that's warm now, I'm going to turn it over again. That's warm too, but let's see if we can see if this has worked. Peel it off. This feel here just feels a little bit still fabricy, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. In fact, I think it's going to enhance it, to be honest. Does still feel a little bit fabricy. Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to go with it. So now let's peel it off. I suppose if you thought it felt too fabricy, you could keep heating the material up. There we go. Get rid of that greaseproof paper. Here we go. We have some fabric, and I love it. I absolutely love this. Now you could leave it soft like this, of course you could, but to make it for the cover, I put the hard coating on, because it made it a bit stiffer, a bit more. You could obviously leave it like this, but yeah, all your threads are in there, they're all together, it's not going to come apart. I mean, it's just, I think it's wonderful. Love it. So let's do this last coat. Just so I'm taking you through the whole process using my, sorry about that, Mod Podge hard coat. If I can get it open. Just my paintbrush. I'm just gonna put a coat of this on it. I think I did both sides on my last one, but as it was just a prototype and I didn't even think it was going to work, to be honest, I didn't really take a lot of notice of what I was doing, because like I said, I didn't think it would work. I thought I'd have to do something else, but it did work. And yeah, I definitely put a coat of, maybe coated it on both sides, but that's personal preference as well. How stiff do you want this? I just want to show you the one I made. Again, it's stiff, but I can crush it, I can move it around, I can do everything that I want with it. It does look like it's coated both sides. Yeah, and you can see the difference in your colourways. So you know, you can do any colourway you want, really. It's whatever threads you've got, whatever wools you've got. There's nothing to say. You know, there's no restrictions there, is there? It's what you've got, what you want to use. And you know, all these bits that are left on the edge. I don't know if you see these. I quite like things like that going on. I mean, I'm a messy crafter. I'm not I'm not very lacy, although I do like lace. I work with lace, but I like grungy lace. If it's too pretty, it's not really for me. So bits sticking out and threads hanging all over the place is definitely something I like. So all these tattered edges, I love. I'm not fussed about them. But I think this will also work as a, you know, a protection glaze, I suppose. Sorry, just dropped that. I don't know what that was. Yeah, protection glaze over your piece. I'm gonna take my, just gonna get a water pot for my glue brush, because I'm very bad at just plonking something down, not cleaning something, and then I end up with a very hard brush. I never throw my hard brushes away though, and I did see a project yesterday, and I can't for the life of me remember who did it, but I absolutely loved it. And she'd used all old paintbrushes and glued them together and made a journal cover or a book cover or book plate. I absolutely loved it. So that might be something I can do with my really horrible brushes. I'm trying to stall the time because leaving that to air dry a little bit while I do this. So let's get that out of the way and see if we can hurry this process along a little bit. I'll slurp my tea while this is drying. Sorry for the boring drying time, but we all know what it's like. We all have to do it. Don't know how long this is going to take. I hope that some of you have a little go at this. And if you do, let me know if it worked, or if you liked it, or you know what happened. Did it go terribly wrong? Like that bit's very sticky. But I'm sure it'll dry. You can see this corner is definitely drying and going a bit more see-through, which, so we'll move that to one side while I continue with drying it, and then I'll bring this one back in, and you can see that I've actually purposely put some extra holes in here to give it a bit of an effect. I love this edge that's just crinkly, and hopefully that's what we're going to get here. If you want to speed this one along, because this is the boring bit, I'm not very good at editing and things. I'm going to ask my good friend and mate Louisa Heinzel if she can help me, because obviously I don't do this as a job. I do it as a hobby. I don't have the editing tools and things that you perhaps use when you do it as a job. I'm going to ask her if she'll excuse me, if she'll have a quick listen to the video. If I don't, you know, if she doesn't fall asleep during it, she may be able to help me with any editing things that I needed to do, or anything. Any words that I've said that might be wrong. I think I mentioned a couple of social media sites that I may not be able to mention on here. So that might need editing out, I'm not sure. But yeah, hopefully she'll be able to help me make this okay for you to watch. And if it's, you know, if it's something you like, please give me a thumbs up, just so that I know whether you've liked it or not. And hopefully you do, fingers crossed, and I'll be able to do a few more little bits for you. I'm gonna just stop that for 1 minute. Obviously it's very hot, but let's see if it's done anything different. Might need a little more drying time, but it peels off. It's very therapeutic when you peel it off. Yeah, and it's gone a little bit harder, and you can see here where the glue's actually dried, and you can just peel that off, and make these wonderful edge pieces that I had in my last one. And obviously you can make holes and do, it's just where the glue's dried, but it's got like a film coating on it. Still a bit wet in places, bit gluey. So I'm going to continue and dry that. Hope you give this a go. I'm going to do both sides just to encase these threads a little bit more, because when I cut it, I want it to be able to be cut and the threads not, you know, fall apart. I don't think it will, because the actual hemming tape will hold it together. I might go over this again with my iron and see if there's anything with this glue, but I'm going to continue to dry these wet pieces. I hope you've have a go at this. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. I hope that it's something that you may want to do. Excuse the iron, it's beeping away. Yeah, sorry. I hope that, you know, you'll give this a go and use it in your future projects, no matter what you use it for. I don't think it's very versatile. You can use it for lots of things. So thank you for watching, and yeah, good luck and happy crafting.